Today, we're talking a somewhat counterintuitive question. Can you really save too much money? It's time for another Tay's Hot Take. You're listening to Priceless Tay, and we're here to combat financial literacy, ensuring young people financially thrive, not just survive. In today's episode, let's dive deep into the crucial factors to consider when deciding between saving and investing. Is there such a thing as oversaving, or is there such a thing as underinvesting? From building an emergency fund to assessing your risk tolerance and investment horizon, we're going to cover it all. You'll discover the importance of a well-diversified, low-risk investment portfolio for your long-term goals like retirement and short-term needs, you might ask. We'll guide you on utilizing high-yield savings accounts effectively. All right, Priceless Pack, enjoy the show. Summer is upon us, and it's about to be the best one yet. Why? Because this summer, you're feeling yourself and are ready to be a freak in the sheets. A freak in the sheets, Tay? Are you serious? I know you're absolutely dying to be a freak in the sheets this summer. And that's why I present to you Priceless Tay's budget template. Get down and dirty in the sheets. Go from broke to bougie. And take control of your money instead of it controlling you this summer. Go to pricelesstay.com/budget template to learn more. Check it out. All right. I love doing these imaginations at the top of the episode. We're just going to do some imagining here. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you're financially free. No more worries about working, even if it's a career that you actually love and really do enjoy, but just having the option to say yes or no about this whole notion of going to work or just working for a paycheck, and really just the freedom to enjoy life on your own terms. Again, sound good to be true? Well, it actually doesn't have to be. By understanding the critical differences between saving and investing. And for my younger listeners, I have to say, you got an advantage over the older people right now. And for those older people, you just got to contribute more and do a little bit more work. I'm going to be totally blunt with you. It is what it is. But you're taking the steps now to learn this. And I'm so excited to continue on with this episode. So how much is too much when it comes to saving? Because there is too much when it comes to saving. And implementing a priceless financial strategy, you can actually turn that dream of making work optional into a reality. And before we dive in, I want to pull a thought that Grant Cardone had on Dave Ramsey, which, if you aren't familiar, Grant Cardone is a multimillionaire investor who invests in real estate. Hi, Grant. And takes risk, while Dave Ramsey, hi there, is another multimillionaire who does not believe in holding most forms of debt. Example, his philosophy for getting a mortgage is 20% down, 15 years, with the monthly payments being no more than 25% of your take-home pay. And guys, I really want you to listen to this clip because this is going to lay the foundation of the entire episode. So let's play the clip.
What are your thoughts on Dave Ramsey?
Great guy, very conservative. He's trying to get people out of debt. Nothing wrong with Dave's advice. And people use credit cards too much in this country. They buy homes they shouldn't be buying. They buy cars they shouldn't buy. They borrow money for Gucci belts and try to pretend to be somebody they're not. By the way, I don't think most Americans suffer from that. Most Americans suffer from saving money too much. Most Americans suffer because they're too conservative and they don't take enough risk. For those that want to get wealthy, at some point you're going to leave Dave's advice and you're going to start watching what wealthy people do. I'm not going to take Dave's advice to build a real estate portfolio. If you want to build a $4 billion real estate portfolio, you're going to have to use debt.
So, saving money. When is enough enough? Before you start taking the risks and begin investing. Let's listen to some hot takes from Bougie Budgeter on TikTok.
I would never, ever, ever, ever leave $20,000 in a savings account. Like, ever. I am not working solely to save money, solely to stockpile dollars and not live my life. That is way too much money in a savings account, and it's not going to be earning everything that you want it to be earning. Now, I am not anti savings account. You know, friend, I love a savings account. I'm always down for a high yield savings account. But I don't have 1 month of expenses is not $20,000. 3 months of expenses for me is not $20,000. My personal money system, I don't believe in having more than 3 months of expenses liquid. Liquid meaning in a savings account that I can easily access, especially when my investing portfolio out earns a 5% interest. We are over saving and not really using our money for experiences and to get the full value of our life. Again, all of these things are relative to your lifestyle and how much your bills are, but no, I would never save or leave $20,000 in a savings account just because.
Can I just say, Bougie Budgeter, this was so well spoken. A few call outs. That $20,000 is not going to be working for you as hard as it would be other places. She's totally speaking the truth here. Another call out. All of this is relative to your lifestyle. So although $20,000 is way too much in a savings account for a bougie budgeter, is it too much for you? These are questions that we're going to be addressing. Let's talk about building that first layer of financial security, your emergency fund. It's your financial safety net, your buffer against life's unexpected turns. And I like to use this money tree analogy when somebody's first coming along these lines. You have your growth mindset or your scarcity mindset, planning the money tree. That's your growth mindset. You have your roots in as your savings account. So for example, a storm comes by and you get laid off. Woo, you got those roots to hold you down and make sure that you are secure. So when we talk about an emergency fund, it's not just any savings account. It's an essential safety net, or what I like to call those roots, that can protect you from unexpected expenses, whether it's a sudden job loss, a medical emergency, or a major car repair. Experts, including those like Dave Ramsey, which I just mentioned, consistently recommend having at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved in a high yield savings account or $10,000, whichever number is higher. If you are one of those people who really don't have a lot of expenses, shoot for that $10,000. Why high yield though? Why can't I just use a savings account at my normal bank? It allows you to grow your money faster than it would be in a standard savings account, combating inflation while still being immediately accessible when you need it most. There's a reason why it's called high yield. You're earning more interest. And this really resonated with me back in the day when I was first starting to learn about compound interest and what it is. Just know the genius Albert Einstein quoted, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world." And when you're putting that up against Babylon and all these other crazy things, I think that's one of the 7 wonders of the world, maybe. That is amazing. So anyway, here's Tay's hot take when it comes to how much should you put towards an emergency fund. Contradictory to the typical 3 to 6 months that everyone says to do, even me, too early on in my financial literacy journey, I said 3 to 6 months. If you scroll back on my socials or our Priceless Tay channels at this point now, because I have an amazing team, you will see that I say 3 to 6 months. I now firmly believe how much you need to save in your emergency fund isn't just a flat rate. It depends on your personal and professional situation. Whether you're a single earner in your household, part of a dual income family, or in a career with varying job security, your emergency fund needs to be tailored to your specific circumstances. So first up, if you are a single earner, the stakes are naturally higher because you're the sole source of income for that entire household. In this case, leaning towards the upper end of 6 to 12 months worth of expenses isn't just recommended, it's critical. That is the Priceless Tay way. This provides a cushion that can help you navigate unexpected life events without the immediate stress of financial ruin. For joint earners, the risk is somewhat distributed. However, it's still wise to aim for at least 3 months worth of expenses. Remember, losing one income, even temporarily, can strain the financial dynamics of any household, especially if you're used to a certain lifestyle or have fixed expenses that rely on both incomes. And as I'm sure y'all know, a big issue when divorce rates were super, super high was that money was the number one cause of divorce. So work towards these now. Listen to this episode. So even if you're not married at this point in time and you're a youngin', or if you're young and want to get married like tomorrow, you can do that too. Just make sure you listen up. Now, after we identify if you're in a relationship, if you're spoused up or not, or if you live with somebody, not even have to be married, you're literally dependent on each other when it comes to finances. Now we got to factor in career stability. If you're in a field with high job security or in a role where skills are high demand, think sectors like healthcare, tech, education, it might be okay to stick closer to that 3 to 6 month guideline. Jobs in these fields typically have more openings and shorter periods of unemployment. On the other hand, if you're in an industry with less stability or fewer job opportunities, as, quote, they say the starving artists, so like arts, entertainment, or certain types of freelance work, it's a very smart move to push that safety net out even further. Aiming for 6 to 12 months isn't overly cautious. It's a strategic move to ensure that you can weather longer term periods of job searching or project scarcity without financial distress. Also, higher debt obligations, especially with high interest, usually above 7%, might require a more robust emergency fund to avoid compounding the debt during hard times, because although Albert said compound interest was the eighth wonder of the world, I'm pretty sure he meant when it came to high yield savings accounts, not necessarily debt, because that will do great for the companies, but not for us. To wrap this up nice and neat here for you, if you're single and have a job in an industry with fewer job opportunities, consider making that emergency fund closer to 9 to 12 months. If you're coupled up here, consider 6 to 9 months. If you're single and have jobs in a high demand industry, consider 6 to 9 months. You're coupled up, considered 3 to 6 months. You get the point here. The more riskier position you are in, the bigger the safety net. Now that we've laid out how to size your emergency fund based on your professional and personal situation, let's tackle a common hurdle many face: building an emergency fund while dealing with debt. It's a tricky balance, but with the right strategy, it's entirely possible to manage both effectively. This episode won't go over exactly how to pay off all of your entire debt, but listen to this. And if you do want that, make sure to email us feedback@pricelesstay.com if you want that episode. When you're saddled with debt, especially high interest debt like credit cards or personal loans, the instinct might be to throw all your extra cash at it and get rid of it as fast as possible. While it's super tempting to attack debt with everything that you got, remember that life is full of surprises. A modest emergency fund is your financial shock absorber. It keeps you from hitting financial potholes that could derail your progress. So while throwing all of your money at debt can be a pretty sound strategy in some cases, it's also crucial to build at least a small emergency fund first. And for those of you asking why, the interest is just going to grow, here's why. Without any savings, any unexpected expense could force you back into more debt, potentially undoing all the hard work that you just did. We don't want to do that. Why would you want to put yourself in that position? Build that small emergency fund. So if you're overwhelmed with high interest debt, over 7-8%, aim for a smaller, more achievable goal initially. Say $1,000 or 1 month's worth of expenses. This small emergency fund at least can cover minor emergencies and prevent you from accruing more debt. And while you build your emergency fund, prioritize paying down those high interest debts. The faster you reduce these balances, the less interest that you'll have to pay, and the more you'll have to save and invest later. So We've laid the groundwork with your emergency fund and getting high interest debt under control. Next, let's pivot to the core of today's topic. Can you really save too much? And when does it make more sense to start shifting your focus from saving to investing? Let's break down some strategies that can help you optimize your financial journey and perhaps turn that dream of financial freedom into a tangible reality. Stay tuned after the break. Have you ever not really understood the way in which you think about money? I mean, we all had different upbringings. You might have a brother who thinks that saving is super easy. You might have a sister, aka me, who thought that saving was actually quite difficult growing up. And she is more of a natural spender. And I'm very open about that, guys. That's step one of the process. Want to discover all the tips and tricks about how to go from a scarcity mindset to a growth mindset? DM us on Instagram at Priceless, the word money quiz. That's money quiz. And I'll send you our free money quiz that you can take to understand your money mindset. Take it, super helpful. You'll be better off in understanding who you are, why you think about these things with money, and most importantly, the next steps to help you financially thrive, not just survive. Please rate Priceless Tay wherever you listen to the show. Listen, when you rate the show, it helps reach more people, which there is a lot of people who really want to thrive and not just survive. So help the community out around you by rating the show. Our new articles, the top investment strategies for beginners in 2024, the top low-cost brokerage accounts for beginner investors, and 9 things that will hinder your finances more than your daily latte are all up on pricelesstoday.com. Today, we're talking a somewhat counterintuitive question. Can you really save too much money? It's time for another Tay's Hot Take. Now, at first glance, it seems like having a hefty savings account is nothing but positive, right? You're sitting on a fat stack of cash. But there is more to the story, like there always is. When your hard-earned cash is just sitting in a savings account, it's not actively growing. Sure, it's safe and it's liquid, meaning that you can access it whenever you need it, which is great. But the downside? It's also likely losing purchasing power over time due to inflation. That's right. What you can buy with your savings today might not stretch as far as tomorrow because the cost of everything from groceries to gas tends to rise. And we see this in some industries a lot faster than others. For example, you fill up gas this week might be a totally different price next week. Other industries, it's a lot slower. But to put that into perspective, with a simple example, imagine you've stashed away $10,000 in a traditional savings account, which gives you a very modest interest rate, let's say 0.5% annually, which is actually pretty common nowadays. At the end of the day, you've earned a whopping $50 on your savings, bringing your total to $10,050. Now, let's factor in inflation, which has been about 2 to 3% per year recently. That means that the cost of goods and services has increased, and you might be seeing that in grocery stores or eggs when you shop in the grocery stores today. So your $10,050 might have the purchasing power of, let's say, only about $9,800 in terms of what it could have bought at the beginning of the year. So, despite your savings growing nominally, is what it's called, its real value, what it can actually buy has decreased. This is why it's crucial to strike the right balance between how much you save and how much you invest. Investing gives your money the chance to grow at a rate that can outpace inflation and increase your wealth over time. So, how do you know when it's time to start investing? Now, if you're under 18, hi, I am so glad you're tuning in. I was once in your spot at that age trying to get financially literate too. So welcome, welcome. But an important note here, anyone who's under 18 needs to have an account under a guardian. You cannot have one open by yourself if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18 and can open an account to start investing, otherwise known as your brokerage account, here are a few signs that you might be ready. If your emergency fund has reached a portion of its goal, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, a month, or even 12 months of your living expenses, it might be time to make additional savings work harder for you through investments. Once you've gotten your high interest debt under control or paid it off, the money you were using to pay down that debt could now be generating returns as investments, potentially outpacing any savings interest rates. With financial security established, you're better positioned to explore investing. However, before jumping in, it's vital to understand the two most important words when it comes to investing: risk tolerance and investment horizon. All right, risk tolerance. This is about how much market volatility you can handle without losing sleep. If you're comfortable with the significant ups and downs and can accept the high risk, that's what I mean by volatility, aggressive investments might be suitable for you. On the other hand, if the thought of these ups and downs, market fluctuations, or market volatility makes you nervous, more conservative investment paths might be better off. Another important word: investment horizon. This refers to how long you plan to keep your money invested before you need to use it. For goals more than 5 years away, you might weather the market's short-term volatility, which allows for more aggressive investments. For short-term goals, however, you might want to stick to safer investments or continue saving. How do you know where you sit? All right, you're going to go to pricelesstay.com/investor-profile-quiz to take the quiz. That's pricelesstay.com/investor-profile-quiz to take the quiz. And or you can stay along with me right now as I explain some factors that influence financial decisions. Young investors like myself at the time that I record this, I might watch this back when I'm 60 and be like, wow, we really were the future leaders of tomorrow. Younger investors often have the luxury of time, which can allow them to recover from losses due to market volatility, and this might just justify a higher risk tolerance. Meanwhile, those closer to needing, I don't want to call y'all old, but those closer to needing those funds like nearing retirement, older investors should consider preserving their capital through more conservative investments. Your goals also dictate your investment strategy. If you're saving for a long-term goal like retirement, you can generally afford to be more aggressive while being young. However, for short-term goals like buying a house or funding an education within a few years, considering less volatile investments to ensure those funds remain available is most definitely key. Like, imagine if you worked all those years saving up for a down payment and you put all of your money on a meme stock and it tanked and you had to wait months, years, to even decades before you ever see the light of day with that investment again, or just forgo that money entirely. Buying a house in this day and age is already a challenge for most. Don't make the process even more challenging. But I don't want to leave you hanging with all these cautionary tales like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Because that's not a way to live life. Let's get to the goods, aka some investment strategies tailored to your risk tolerance and investment horizon, ensuring you're equipped to make smart decisions for both your short-term and long-term financial needs. With a solid understanding of your risk tolerance and how long you plan to invest your money, your investment horizon, you can make informed decisions on how best to allocate your assets. If you're saving for something in the near future, like a down payment on a house or your child's college fund, it's essential to take a more conservative approach. You want to ensure that the money you've worked so hard to save is available when you need it, without suffering losses due to volatile market conditions that are totally out of your control. High yield savings accounts offer higher interest rates compared to these traditional savings accounts. While these rates may fluctuate, high yield savings accounts generally provide better returns on your savings, making them an excellent place to park your money for short term goals. Let me share an example. If a traditional savings account offers an APY or annual percentage yield of 0.05%, a high yield savings account might offer rates such as 4% or more, depending on the bank and its current market conditions. Over the course of the year, that higher rate can significantly increase the interest you earn on your savings. The primary benefit of a high yield savings account really is the safety of your capital combined with relatively higher interest earnings. Your funds remain liquid, meaning you can access them whenever without facing penalties or significant losses. And Priceless Pack, I do have to inform you that those rates fluctuate depending on the market. Sometimes I get these examples with good news and then some lines about how the rate is increasing. And then some months later, I get, we have some important news to share about your account. And it's literally, I don't know, it's just a few lines about the rate changing, and it's not obviously changing positive because they didn't say good news is declining. So if you're interested to find out what's our favorite high yield savings account, make sure to DM us on Instagram at PricelessTay, the word best HYSA. That stands for high yield savings account. Best HYSA. Make sure you're following us on Instagram so we can actually go in and send you that message. Okay, CDs. Not really relevant to Gen Z, but I remember what they are. No. Gen Zers, actually listen up because these CDs are actually really relevant to you. These CDs, or certificates of deposit, are time-bound deposit accounts offered by banks that typically offer a fixed rate in exchange for keeping your money locked in for a predetermined period. These periods can range from a few months to several years, with interest rates generally increasing with the length of the term. So let's run it a quick scenario. Suppose you invest $5,000 in a 1-year CD with an APY of 2%. At the end of the term, you would earn $100 in interest, assuming the interest compounds annually. This predictable return is a key feature of CDs. Since the interest rate is fixed in this scenario, you know exactly how much you will earn at the end of the term. However, really important to note here, early withdrawal penalties mean that it's best to use CDs for money you don't or won't need to access immediately. What I just mentioned are technically types of savings accounts. So now we're going to switch gears to investment accounts. Treasury bills, or T-bills, are not T-bills, T-bills, are short-term government securities that are considered one of the safest investments because they are backed by U.S. government's credit. You might buy a T-bill worth $10K for $9,700, and at maturity, you get the full $10,000, making your interest $300. And guys, maturity just means like a long period set out in the future that when it hits that it's become mature and you get your money. That's what that basically means. T-bills are one of the safest investments available, ideal for ultra-conservative investors who prioritize security over higher returns. They're also exempt from state and local taxes, which is super important. So that can effectively enhance your tax saving strategies, particularly in those with higher tax states. These conservative investment options, high yield savings accounts, CDs, and T-bills offer various benefits depending on your immediate financial needs and risk tolerance. For shorter term goals, or if you're more cautious about market volatility, these guys do provide a secure, predictable way to grow your savings while keeping them accessible or tied up only for a predictable period. Now, if your goals are like retirement are more than 10 years away, you might consider being more aggressive with your investment. I'm going to go over some beginner-friendly options after a word from our friends. You just got an email in your inbox. OF. Your girl or guy see that and gets upset with you, and they go into your phone and they see OF. only finance. Want to stay in the loop with us? Subscribe to our weekly newsletter by DMing us only finance. That's ONLY finance on Instagram at Priceless Tay. Let's revolutionize your financial habits one Tuesday at a time. As a reminder, you're listening to Priceless Tay, and we're here to combat financial illiteracy, ensuring young people financially thrive, not just survive. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about your long-term investment goals like retirement. Now, if you're looking at a horizon that's more than 10 years away, you've got the potential to be a bit more aggressive with your investments to maximize growth. And if you're thinking about this and like, I can't even think about retirement right now, that is not for me. I'm just a 20-something. No, listen to this. Albert Einstein said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. If you don't listen to me, listen to him. I'm going to walk you through some beginner-friendly options that can help you get there without getting too deep into the complex world of individual stock picking. So first up, let's talk about exchange traded funds, or ETFs, which is more common to say. These are really fantastic for beginners, and here's why. ETFs allow you to invest in a broad array of assets, the goods that make you money, from stocks and bonds to sectors and commodities, all with one purchase. Now, when I say commodities as well, too, I notice that I'm saying some pretty big words. That essentially means like coffee beans, avocado, all those raw goods and materials. Those are commodities. Gold, silver, metals, you get it. Imagine being able to buy a piece of every single company in the S&P 500, which is this amazing thing. Go check it out on pricelesstay.com, or perhaps every utility company in the utility sector, all without having to manage dozens of different stocks. That's what ETFs let you do. They're known for their low expense ratios, which means you won't pay a lot in fees, and they're as easy to buy and sell as individual stocks right there throughout the trading day, which is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then there's obviously pre-market hours and post-market hours too, but we're not going to go into that in this episode. This flexibility and simplicity, though, makes ETFs a great tool for new investors looking to get broad market exposure without a lot of hassle. Next, we have low-cost index funds. These are somewhat similar to ETFs in that they also provide a way to invest in major market indexes like the S&P 500 or the total US stock market. But unlike ETFs, which trade like stocks, index funds are typically bought and sold at the end of the trading day based on their calculated value. Sounds like a lot, but simple terms, index funds are an amazing choice for those of you who want a set it and forget it investment. They invest in the same securities as the index they track, providing a passive way to capture the broader market's gains. With their minimal fees and the elimination of the need to pick winning stocks all the time, index funds are a low-risk, effective way to build your investment portfolio. As we wrap up today's episode, let's reflect on what we covered about balancing saving and investing for your financial future. We started off by stressing the importance of a solid financial foundation. Then we discussed how your risk tolerance and investment horizon should guide your decision on whether to save or invest. Those of you with longer, investment horizons and higher risk tolerances might consider more aggressive investments for longer term growth. Meanwhile, if your goals are shorter term or you prefer less risk, sticking with a high yield savings account or conservative investments might be best. Highlighting ETFs and low cost index funds, we explored how these assets are ideal for beginners looking to enter the investment world. Remember, the journey to financial independence isn't about quick wins. It's about setting a steady course and sticking to it. Keep planning, keep learning, and keep growing. Until next time, keep striving towards your financial goals and beyond so you can financially thrive and, you know what? Say it with me, not just survive. Thanks for listening to Priceless Tay. Be sure to like, subscribe, and give us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. And share this with a girly, broski, or a homie. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Priceless Tay. If you'd like to ask us about your personal finances, whether that's diving deep into the sheets or advice on a money story, leave us a voice memo. Contact at pricelesstay.com or go to pricelesstay.com/ask-pricelesstay.